simply to ask you questions, to interview you, and your job is to answer as best as you can. Ready?
Okay. Okay, no problem.
All right. Good morning. Sorry, good morning. My name is Anna. I'm your examiner for the day. Welcome to your IELTS speaking test. What is your full name, please?
My full names are Messi Mlenga Kabunse.
And how do I call you?
You can call me Messi.
Mercy. May I see your
Yes.
identification card, please? So you're going to give
Okay.
me your ID. All right. Thank you. Now, in this part of the test, I'll be asking you questions about yourself.
Okay.
Do you come from a small or a big family?
I actually come from a big family. We are 7 of us, and I'm the fourth born.
All right, one more time. Okay, you have to speak at length. Okay, that's the requirement of band 7. The way you answered was the band 5 or 6. Okay, so that's not good.
Okay.
So you have to talk about it for a few seconds. Okay, so it has to be at length. So give details
Okay.
and talk about it. Tell a story, whatever. It has to be at length. Okay, one more time. Do you come from a big or a small family?
I actually come from a big family. There's 7 of us. 3 of us are girls, and 4 of them are boys. I'm the fourth born. Our firstborn is a man, followed by my sister. Then there's another brother of mine. Then there's myself. And then I have a younger brother and 2 young sisters.
How is your family compared to other families in your country?
Well, basically in my country where I come from, which is Zambia, usually each family has almost about 3 or 4 children. So in as far as I'm concerned, I think we can be called a big family since there's 7 of us. But usually a lot of people have maybe 2, 3 children these days. But some time ago, people used to have a lot of children, but this time with this HIV AIDS pandemic, people are doing a lot of family planning. So you find that a lot of families have got fewer children, fewer than before.
How often do you go out with your family?
We usually go out, especially over the weekends. During the week, we spend most of the time at home because all of I've got young children who are currently in school. So they are in school from, they're always in school from about 7 in the morning up to about 17 in the evening. So which leaves us with just a few hours to be together. So I prefer being at home with them throughout the week. And if I want us to go out, usually we go out on Sundays, especially after church. Then we can go out. Usually we have a meal together. But in Zambia, most of us prefer being home than going out because it's expensive to either eat out or have a picnic wherever you want to have a picnic. It's quite costly. So you find that most of us prefer just staying at
Thank
home,
you.
bonding. Okay.
All right, stop. Let's talk about transport. How do you usually travel around your town or city?
Okay, apparently I have a small Japanese car, Toyota Ranex, and that's the one I use usually when I'm traveling, when I have to drop my children at school or when I have to go for work. I usually use the same car because it's got a small engine, which makes it easy for me to fill it up with gas, and it's not as costly to move around with it. Sometimes, like when I have to go to other places and maybe I
Thank
just don't
you.
feel like driving. Okay.
What do you think of public transport in your town or city?
This time around, there's a lot of different types of public transports. There are taxis, there are trains, There are even personal vehicles. People tend to use their personal vehicles for public transportation. It's not a problem really this time around because almost everyone, in fact, owns a car. Very few people do not own cars, but the few that do not own cars, they cannot really complain about public transport because there are buses, taxis, there are trains. Some people prefer to use a bicycle. So it's not a problem really. It's actually it's got its own
Thank you.
advantages and okay.
How do you think we could persuade more people to use public transport?
As much as it might be a good idea, I think this time around it would be quite difficult to persuade people to use public transport because people have got different schedules, different programs, and sometimes relying on public transport would come in people's programs. But nonetheless, trying to persuade them to use public transport, I think some of the means of promoting public transport is bringing down the fares for public transportation and making sure the roads are well maintained and trying to minimize congestion in the roads so that there's no traffic jam.
Let's talk about entertainment. Do you go out
Okay.
a lot or do you prefer home entertainment?
I don't usually go out because I'm actually very family oriented. I spend a lot of time with my children, but sometimes I don't mind going out, especially like when I have friends visiting. I enjoy going out where you can have a meal outside or you go watch a movie wherever you can. But usually I'm a home person, and especially that my children are young, most of the times I prefer being home, and I always don't want my children to eat food that's prepared by other people. I take myself to be a very good cook. So most of the times I'm home. Yeah.
What kind of things do you watch on TV?
Television, which is quite interesting this time. I watch a lot of documentaries. I love documentaries. I love a lot of politics. And I also watch a lot of reality shows because this time around there are a lot of reality shows being shown on television. As much as they might not be that educative, I find them entertaining. I watch a lot of reality shows like Real Housewives of Hollywood. They keep me going. They entertain me, and you learn a lot. Not only do I learn a lot from it, you see how other people from different cultures live, their type of culture, how they argue. You find that there's a lot of difference when I think about our Zambian kind of life, the way we argue, like when you see a couple arguing. Yes, and then when you see an American couple arguing, there's a lot of differences. Yes.
Thank you. Can you easily entertain yourself when you're alone?
This time with this technology, I think I can. I don't think I would have any problem because if I'm bored, I'll just get online. I'll just get online and see what I want to, whatever I want to read. If I want to read about something or I want to watch about something, I can entertain myself in that way. Even get in touch with friends that are far away from where I stay. I can keep talking with them online and communicating with a lot of other people around. And I actually learn a lot of things on internet, apparently. So I don't think I can find any problems in entertaining myself. Thank God there's a...
Right, stop. Are there many places for entertainment in your area?
A long time ago, we did not have as many entertainment places, but this time there's a lot of entertainment places. Zambia is third world country, but the government has managed to get some money. I want to believe it's from the IMF. So they've built a lot of shopping malls in almost each town of the country, and around the malls, there are a lot of entertainment going on. There are places where they show different kinds of movies. There are places where they sell a lot of different things from all around the world. And there's there are a lot of gyms where when you need to do some exercises, you can easily go and have an exercise that will help you and make you feel better.
Okay.
There is entertainment, you cannot
Hmm?
complain. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to part 2 of your speaking test. So I sent you the
Uh,
cue card. Okay, do you see it?
I saw it, but it wasn't full.
It's part 2 only.
Okay.
Do you see it? Describe someone who has taught you. Okay, do you
Okay.
see that?
I can't see it now.
You can.
No, I can't.
Okay, let me try to copy it again.
Okay.
Then I'll send it to you. So let me
Okay.
know when you see all the prompts in part 2.
Okay.
Okay, there. You see that?
Okay.
So you
It's
have
gone
1 minute to
off.
prepare.
I can't, it's off. I can't see it now.
You can't or you can?
I can't. I cannot see it now. There was only a clip of it and it went off like that.
Mm. Okay, let me read the question to you. Okay, please take down notes. So
Okay.
you will have to talk about a topic for 1 or 2 minutes. You have
Okay.
1 minute to think about what you're going to say. You can make some notes to help you if you wish. Describe
Okay.
someone who has taught you something useful in your life.
Someone who has
Useful.
someone
Something
who was
useful.
useful. Someone
Something
who was
useful.
useful. Something useful. Okay.
Describe someone who has taught you something useful in your life.
Okay.
So you should say who the person is, what this person taught you, how this person taught you, and explain why the thing you learned was useful.
Okay.
Did you get that? All right. So you have 1 minute to prepare.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay.
Start?
Okay. Can I start now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I have a brother of mine. I can call him a brother, but he's actually my cousin because he was born from my mother's other family. And this man's name is Hope Mwape. Apparently, this man, he stays 3 houses from where I stay. He has actually taught me how to use a computer. I owe all of my computer knowledge to him. Some time back, I had no idea about how to use a computer. I could not get onto Facebook because the time I was in school, these things were not included in our type of education then. So I actually asked him to help me with how to use a computer. And apparently, I thank God he had the time to teach me. And this time I'm able to use a computer. He used to teach me every day after 17 hours, depending on what shift I would be working. When I'm working day shift, he would come and teach me in the evenings. When I'm working in the evenings, he would teach me in the morning because that's all he does. That's his personal business. He teaches people how to use computers, how to be able to get on with the computer and everything that has to do with this latest technology. Apparently, because of the time that I spent with him teaching me how to use a computer, this time I'm able to communicate with a lot of people around the world. I'm able to send mails, which I never knew how which I had no idea of about how to go about it some time back. But this time around, I'm able to communicate with my friends who are abroad. I'm able to send mails. I'm able to do a lot of things. And this time in the current life we are living in, you cannot do anything if you are not computer literate. You just need to be computer literate. Just like what I'm doing right now, I wouldn't have been able to even have this talk if I wasn't computer literate. But now I'm able to do most of the things because of my brother, who actually dedicated his time to teach me about how to go about with a computer. And even at work now, most of the things that we do, you have to do a lot of computer work. And apparently, where I work, they do not teach you how to use a computer. You have to fight yourself. You have to do it yourself. If you don't do it, everything that has to do with the computer or putting information on the computer will be done by the in-charge nurses. Unless you have an idea of how to use a computer, then you'll be given the obligation to do that. So in my case, I'm able to make the timetable. I'm able to enter all the vital signs for the patients on the computer because I'm able to do it. And it's quite...
Okay, thank you. So would you recommend that other people your age also learn the computer?
Yes, very much so. In fact, I would really 100% recommend that everyone, in fact, even people that are older than me, should be given the opportunity to learn to use the computer because it's
Okay,
faster.
thank you. Let's talk about schools. What would you say was the most important thing you learned from school?
Okay. School taught me how to have a good character. I learned a lot of good manners from school because we were a class that had involved people from different kinds of backgrounds. Apparently, some people had very good backgrounds with very good characters, good behaviors. I came to learn to have self-control, to know when to talk and when not to talk. There are some things that I never learned from home that I only got to learn from school. I even got to learn to speak English in school because when I was growing up, English is not my native language. We used to speak Bemba. Our native language in Zambia is called Bemba. We used to speak Bemba all the time through. But in school, I learned to speak English because it was actually prohibited to use any vernacular language in school. So every time I'd be in
Thank
school,
you.
whether I liked it or not,
All right, stop. Could you compare the effectiveness of schools in the past with that in the present?
No, there's a very big difference between past schools, like the type of school, the type of education I had. If I compare it to the type of education that my children are having, there's a massive difference. First and foremost, from the early grades, from grade 1 up to grade 2, up to grade 4, we used to learn in Bemba. So which used to make it quite difficult for us to learn English from about from grade 5 upwards. But nowadays, like the schools that my children go to, they are taught English from nursery school. They are taught English. So it's easier for them to be fluent, to be good with their grammar and their comprehension in every way. They are better than we are, those of us that grew up then. Schools of nowadays actually children introduced to English, which apparently is spoken almost all over the world now. And once, if you're not fluent in English, you will not have it very easy nowadays. So children of
Thank you.
nowadays, like
Let's stop. In what ways do you think schools will change in the future?
first and foremost, I think like in Zambia, I wish the government could find fundings which would help schools to have the resources that they need, because most schools apparently, unfortunately, do not even have computers. They do not have the latest resources that a good school needs these days to educate children well. Because for a child to learn well, they need visual aids. They need these computers so that they're introduced to the computer at a young age, so that they do not have problems like we had trying to learn the computer. So I think the government should find ways of equipping schools with all the necessary resources that the schools need, like latest books, computers, like I said, even other learning aids, so that children can learn well. At the end of the day, they'll be a better productive citizens as they grow up, because
All
they will
right,
have
thank
been
you.
introduced.
Stop. Let's talk about careers. How important is it for people in your country to get a university education?
Oh, university education is just mandatory. It's important to everyone, because you need skills. You need those skills to make it in life. If you just go up to secondary education without going to university, where you specialize in the latest technical skills, you cannot contribute as much. You cannot achieve as much as you want to achieve. Universities gives you the skills that you need, so that you can be productive in a community. You can contribute well. You can be excellent at your skill. You can make the best out of your ability. And apparently university education should just be mandatory. It should just be free to everyone. It's unfortunate that it's very expensive in most of these developing countries that we come from to get into university. But in fact, university makes a society, even a society as a whole will benefit from highly educated people with skills, because they're going to contribute. They're going to put in their best. They're going to make useful. They're going to make useful contributions in a society. They'll help a person, even as an individual. If you have a university
Thank
education,
you.
make better decisions.
Okay, okay. What kinds of jobs can people do without a university education?
Sorry, what was the question again?
What kind of jobs can people do without a university education?
Okay. I think farming. People that are involved in farming can still make it without a university education, though they'll need some advice here and there with how to take control of pests in case of infestation with pests. But generally speaking, farming, you don't really need university education. You just need to know what type of crops to grow in whichever season, and which type of soil is better for whatever type of crop one wants to specialize in. Or if you want to do poultry, if you want to keep all things like sheep, goats, you don't necessarily need university education, because that kind of intelligence can be passed on from your fathers. Maybe the father is a farmer. He can pass on his experience to his children. You find that they become
Okay, stop. What are the advantages of starting work at a young age?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think the advantages of starting work at an early age is, whilst you are young, you have time to learn from fellow employees. You've got enough time to learn from people that are experienced, people that have been in whichever type of job a person might find themselves in. And when you are young, the brain is naturally able to grasp easily. You learn easily. You do not have a lot of problems learning as compared to when you are above 40 and thereabout. So when you are young, you learn
Okay.
more. And
Do you agree with the saying that we are never too old to learn?
yes, I do. I do agree with that saying, though it's quite difficult because when I think of myself, when I was in school, when I was young, when I was in school of nursing, I was very good in class. But now that I'm about 40, I've come to realize that I'm finding a bit of problems. I don't know whether it could be degeneration of cells, or I'm not too sure. But generally speaking, school has got no age limits. Anyone can learn from at whatever time. It depends on uh, um, somebody's how much one wants to learn. It just depends on the person. People can get degrees at the age of 60. People can
What are the
start
advantages? What are the advantages of continuing education?
continuing education. Some of the advantages of continuing education is, you can never go wrong with education. You become a more productive citizen. You make more responsible decisions with education, and you you contribute to the growth of a society. Even in a family, if you have more education, you help the family at large. Where maybe you come from a poor family, there are some children that do not have money to be sponsored to school. The more educated you are, the more money you make. So the more positive input you put in your family as an individual, and the more productive you are in a society, because of your education, you can teach people depending on what you're specialized in. You teach people
All
what
right.
to do.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. That's the end of your IELTS speaking test.
Okay.
Good job, Mercy.
Thank you.
You're actually you're a level 8 student when it comes to speaking. What was your score in speaking in the past?
I had 7.5, and then the first one I had 8, the second one I had 7.5.
Mm-hmm. You have a tendency, though, to stop in the middle of your sentence and then begin with another one. Maybe because you have so many ideas in your head, but you have to control that because one of the criteria is GRA, or grammatical range and accuracy. So your examiner will be listening to your individual sentences. Now, when you
Okay.
stop in the middle of the sentence and begin with another, in effect, you have just uttered a fragment, which is a no-no in IELTS. Okay? So, in other words, to avoid being penalized under
Mhm.
GRA, when you say
Mm.
something, you have to finish it. Okay,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
That is my only comment. But in terms of pronunciation, very clear. When it comes to lexical resource, I like that your words are carefully chosen, topic specific, in sometimes not highfalutin, but they are less common. Okay, I would say less common. Not many people would use the same words that you do. And I think that they're very natural of you to do that, to use certain kinds of words. As for fluency and coherence, you use connectors at the right time, at the right moment. In terms of fluency, well, listen back to the recording, and you would agree with me that when it comes to that, there is no stopping you. So good job. That is my
Thanks,
only
Anna.
comment, GRA.
Oh,
And although maybe because of the platform we're using, I did ask you what kind of jobs. Okay, what kind of jobs? Well, you did say farming, so what kind only requires one, but it would help if you mentioned other jobs as well, like carpentry. What else can you think of? Secretarial. Well, I think, yeah, what other jobs aside from farming do not require a university education aside from farming?
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
So that's it. Um,
oh,
keep up the good work. And
I
another
want,
thing is avoid saying you. Avoid the use of the pronoun you. Just like in
oh,
writing. Okay, say people in general. Okay, people in
okay.
general benefit from continuing education, such as taking masterals or doctorate, because the society in general would benefit from people who continue to study and make themselves productive in their country, something like that. So don't say because you
Oh,
will benefit from, you will get this, or try to make it sound more academic. So that's the only, those are the two things that I noted from your responses today. And
okay. Oh,
may I know if it would be okay if I share this recording to the group?
oh, yes, please. That's very fine with me. Very fine with
Okay.
me.
Wonderful, because we have new students and I would like them to learn from you. In fact, I'll be
Okay,
sharing two videos today already. Well done.
okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Anna. Thank you so
Lucy,
much.
and give me time to correct your essay. All right?
Okay, Anna. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Nice to see you again. Bye bye.
You too.